From the Institute of Engineers of Kenya convention that is happening in Mombasa, we now get into a different conversation, which is not so different. It is more or less speaking on the same thing. And right now, our conversation is on getting the right construction. Yes, that is what we are talking about. And joining me for that is the Managing Director, Beacon Africa Consultants. His name is Nashon Okowa. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Vivian.
You're doing well this morning?
I'm well. Thank God.
All right.
Yes.
All right. So how about we begin with you just telling us, when should one say they have the proper construction? When should we say that a construction is proper? It is the right construction?
Well, I think it will have different components, but fundamentally it should have the right professional contractors, consultants. So you have a registered architect that is required under the law, CAP 525. You have a registered quantity surveyor. You have a qualified and registered structural and civil engineer. You have mechanical electrical engineers. You have a project manager. All professionals experienced. You have a registered contractor with the National Construction Authority. And then you must have the requisite approvals. The law requires you have the county government approvals. So where you are, whichever county it is, the county government issues approvals on architectural and structural drawings. Then you need the NEMA license, National Environment Authority license. Then you need NC approval for the project now, not the contractor, for the project. Every construction project must be registered by National Construction Authority. Now, depending on if you are near a water source, you need the WARMA license. If you are near an airstrip or an airport, then you require the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority approval. So if you have those consultants, the project team, the contractor, and the requisite approvals, then you're in the right construction. Yeah.
All right. What are the do's and don'ts during construction?
Well, I think at the crux of the don'ts is don't do shortcuts. We have an alacrity for shortcuts as a people. And I would say there's an invitation right now to do more shortcuts. You've seen the issue of building collapses.
Yeah.
So nobody gets away with shortcuts in construction. It doesn't matter how long it will take, whether it is 10 years, 5 years, 20 years. If you have a shortcut in construction, it must catch up with you. So at the crux of it, don't do shortcuts. Just follow the law. Follow the requisite procedures requires in construction. Construction is a science, it's not an art, so you want to be creative about it. Just follow the sequence. Do not do shortcuts. On what you need to do, I think for me, right now, looking at our construction business sector, you need a very experienced team. You need to leverage on an experienced consulting firms and experienced contractor. Why? Because it's a very cutthroat, competitive sector. These consultants will sort of bulletproof you, give you ideas on how do you cost engineer, value engineer, what is the best method to use in construction to get still the right construction at an affordable price. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned on buildings collapsing, and we have unfortunately gotten to experience that more than enough times already in the country, with the very previous one happening at Kahawa West around 2 or 1 week ago?
1 week.
1 week ago, just a week ago. From your end, where are we going wrong?
You know, Vivian, you've had conferences on building collapse. You've had conventions. We have a lot of talks. Some of us have written so much about it. But the truth of the matter is, I think buildings will still continue to collapse.
They'll still continue to collapse?
Yeah, I think they will.
Why?
I think they will. Look, we like shortcuts. Whether it is our innate nature as a people, or it's just our culture. And construction hates shortcuts. When someone is going to construct, the first thing they want to do is, where do I cut? That's one of the problems. Number two, we have had a very exponential growth in the construction industry. But I don't think that we have had an exponential growth, commensurate exponential growth as regards the authorities that supervise the built environment. So built environment has grown, but the authorities have not grown in that nature. So we have less supervisors, for example. I think so for counties. I've done projects where a probably county will come once, because during the lifetime of a year project. So I have 11 months to do whatever I want to do. There are a lot of gaps that exist within this sector. There's a lot of corruption, okay, that is very chronic and endemic in the built environment. Until we address these issues, unfortunately, buildings will continue to collapse. I do not think we have, if you look far back as far as 2013, the Huruma building collapse, which was very advertised. There was a commission that was formed, and the commission was to look at buildings in Nairobi. All they keep telling us is we have so many buildings that are at risk. I've always said, why don't they publish those buildings so that innocent Kenyans know that this building is not safe?
Yeah.
So whenever a building collapses, they will come back to remind us there are a lot of buildings in Nairobi not suitable for habitation. Come on, put it in the dailies. Publish them so that people know what are these buildings. Until this kind of things happen, we follow the law, we use the right consultants, we get the right approvals, buildings will continue to collapse.
How do we address this situation, and who exactly needs to come on board? Who should we point fingers at?
Look, I do not think if, and I've said it here, I do not think if crime goes up in the city, we'll point fingers at the police. Today, we will be on the IG's neck, and the police commander in Nairobi of crime goes up in the city.
Yeah.
We delegated the function of supervision of construction sector to specific agencies. 47 million Kenyans cannot supervise the built environment. We will have to form vigilante groups to do so. So there are specific authorities that we've delegated that function to supervise construction on our behalf. And we fund them through the exchequer, through our taxes. Counties, National Construction Authority, NEMA. These are the agencies we are mandated to ensure there's no shortcut. And you see, the law preempted that there will be someone somewhere who wants shortcuts. Just like the law preempted that there will be someone who wants to rob. And defined that what happens in those scenarios when someone steals. So we expect people to do shortcuts, but we expect the authorities to stop them from doing shortcuts. So we have agencies. The back on building collapse must stop with the agency we are mandated under the Constitution to supervise the built environment.
Yeah.
No other place.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. I hope that we get to become more serious when it comes to this, because many lives are lost from the collapsing of this building. You know, property of, huge amounts are
I think we need some radical solutions to address this. For example, I've always said we need to criminalize the sale of professional licenses, because what happens is if Vivian wants to build, she doesn't want to get because the law requires you to get a registered architect. So what do? Get a diploma guy or technician designed for you, buy a license from the architect, he'll stamp for you your drawings, 5,000, 10,000, take to county for approval. So we need to criminalize some of these things, that when we license you as an engineer, and under Engineers Boards of Kenya, you cannot sell that license at market price to people willing to have shortcuts. So we need some radical surgeries in building collapse. Until we do radical surgeries, I do not think we will have to address. I also think we need to return the NCA levy. I know it's my colleagues always say that is no, but I think so. We return NEMA levy. Let us fund NCA fully to have the resources it requires to supervise, so that we don't have these things of, we are competing with other needs through the exchequer. Give them the levy, we return NEMA levy, let us return the NCA levy. We have a big watchdog, ensure they have the resources to do the supervision.
Okay.
Yes.
So the factors to consider during construction, what factors are these?
I think if you are, right now, if you're going to, and I'll say this, if you're an investor, if you're building your own house, you're an investor, we have a big issue with cost of construction. We have a ballooning cost of construction, and for us, it's really concerning. So one of the factors I'd said early during our convention is you need to have the right team. I mean, I cannot overemphasize the need for professional consultants on any construction, whether you're doing a single dwelling, whether you're doing the multi-story billion-dollar investment. One of the factors you must put into place is the right consultants. Number two is market study. We are not doing a lot of market study. And you know, we have this thing of 4 pages of auctions in newspaper and people get alarmed. Some of us don't get alarmed. We are very careless when we're doing real estate investments. We don't do market study. We do real estate, we do what we call Me Too projects, where I hear Vivian as saying 1 bedroom is selling and Nation jumps on 1 bedroom and you burn your fingers. So a lot of issues that you see in real estate. And you know, there is no industry, Vivian, that does not punish mediocrity. If you go to agriculture today and you don't understand farming of onions, you will burn your fingers seriously.
For sure.
But the problem with real estate is we do not want real estate to punish mediocre projects. When it attempts to do so, we say there's a bust, the market is collapsing. No, some of these things are very natural. People are doing a lot of projects in this Nairobi that is almost criminal to do. Okay? Criminal in quotes. But they're doing them. And real estate has to punish them. Auctions, empty. Okay? So one of the factors you have to consider right now, please do a feasibility and market study. We are in a buyer's market. Real estate in Kenya now, we've entered the buyer's market. The buyer's market is the buyer decides everything. The sale price, they decide the rent price. So you are responding to a market. So you need to do a market study to respond to that buyer and seller. We are no longer in an industry where you can tailor it to suit your personal fantasy. It won't work.
All right. You had mentioned something to do with people also just buying some of these qualifications that one needs to have, but you go ahead and get it somewhere on Core River Road. Well, and we've also had the rise of fake architects. So how exactly, as someone who probably I want to start my construction, probably residential or even commercial, how do I know that an architect is qualified? Is there somewhere I can go check? Or how do I know that my architect is actually a qualified one?
Yes, you can know. We have a lot of quacks. We have a lot of quack contractors, quack architects, quack quantity surveyors, quack project managers. Look, today if someone comes and tells you that you are an architect, all architects must be registered with the Board of Registration of Architects and Quantity Surveyors. They must have a number. If you just go online and Google, we call it BORAX, Board of Registration of Architects and Quantity Surveyors, they have listed all registered architects in the portal. All you need to do is put national core, and you'll see whether, if it doesn't pop up, that's a quack.
Okay.
Go to Engineers Board of Kenya website. This is a public website. Put the engineers, the person's name, or if you have the number, put their number. It will show you whether they are registered and approved by the government. If you go to contractors as well, NCA has an elaborate portal, online public portal, that you need to confirm whether a contractor is registered. Okay? And the other institutions that are not yet regulated, do it through their professional institutions. If you doubt, even developers, I tell people these days, before you buy an apartment, you buy a house, confirm that this developer probably is under Kenya Property Developers Association. It gives you some comfort. So there is a portal where we can confirm these things at the comfort of your living room. You don't need to go to any office. And you know very well that the person I am engaging is an architect. And you see, once you have a registered architect, usually they're very careful because they have licenses. And these are people you can sue. Unfortunately, our law currently, the way it is stipulated, it punishes a registered person more than a quack. The quacks get away with so much because it's expected that you should have verified this person before you engage them. But if I'm a registered engineer and you engage me and make mistakes, trust me, there's a recourse for it through Engineers Board of Kenya, through BORAX. You have a license, have something to lose. So yes, the answer is yes, there are public portals that you can confirm. All consultants, all contractors are registered as required under the law.
Okay.
Yes.
So when it comes to construction, clearly you cannot fumble about it. You need to do your due diligence. There's no shortcut to it. Otherwise, I mean, it might work against you in the long run, you know.
Yes. Yeah. And look, if there are two words that are important today is in real estate and construction is what you said. It's due diligence. Whether you're building your own house yourself, whether you're buying, the common denominator of all these aspects is you must do not just due diligence. I say it has to be a ruthless due diligence because we are in a third world country.
Yeah.
We are a country with ethics deficit. Okay? We are still a growing country, a country in progress. There are bad eggs amongst us. There are bad eggs in consultants, bad eggs in contractors, bad eggs in developers. We've seen a lot of cry of people losing houses, houses they bought. So that diligence has to be ruthless. Tick all boxes, not some boxes. Yes.
All right. What determines the cost of construction?
Well, right now, if you're working out your ROI, so you want to know your returns, because there are two aspects. As I answer you, there's return on investment and there's yields, rental yields. If you're working out your cost of construction, you're going to look at the cost of construction itself. So in that, you're going to look at, the excavations, the finishes, all that it takes to build a house. But then there are other costs, cost of land. And land cost in Nairobi has really gone up. Our construction cost as well has really ballooned. Okay, we are actually in a month where cement prices are also going, cement and steel are also climbing right now. So you have cost of land, then you have cost of consultants. You must add in the cost of consultants. So the architects, the project manager, the engineer, the quantity surveyor, all that is a cost to it. Then usually you have a marketing cost. So these are components that derive for you your costs, your marketing costs, marketing budget. You need to advertise, billboards, whatever it is that you feel you want to advertise. If you have borrowing, then you have a finance cost, okay? That needs to be added as among your cost. Then generally we lump out a cost called administration cost. This will include your legal costs, if you have an accountant. There's a lot of admin cost that is lumped up under admin cost. All those components have what we call the cost of construction. So that's what the project cost entails. Now, you realize one of the problems we have is the first thing people want to cut is the cost of consultants. They want the cheapest one as possible. That's why a lot of buildings are going down, a lot of projects are empty, because that's where you find it's easiest to cut. You want to advertise, you still have to buy your land, you won't get away with it, and you have to build. So cost of consultants is easily cut. You want to go for the cheapest. That's one of the problems we have. Then with the cost of construction, then you will minus, from that you get your sales prices, then get your net. So sales revenue plus all those costs I've mentioned give you a net as your ROI.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. So before we run out of time, the National Building Code of 2024, which was put in place in February this year, what are the controversies surrounding it?
You have a lot of controversies on it. I won't go very deep into it because we've challenged it in court. We have challenged, you have a petition in court on the building code. But I will mention a few issues we have with it. First of all, it's a good progress. Okay, since 1968 until now, we've had a building code. So it's a progress. But what we are saying is, let us get it right. We will take another 40 years before we amend that code. I know they're saying every 5 years. But Section 6, for example, Section 6 is the one that is most controversial. The code has left out a lot of professionals. It's gone with what I would call mainstream professionals, the architect, the engineer, the quantity surveyor, the planner. Since 1968 until now, there are a lot of professionals that have come into our industry. Landscape architects, interior designers, project managers, construction managers, technologists, health officers. There's a lot of professionals in our built environment. So the National Building Code needs to reflect what is happening right now. Okay? Number two, there are Section 52. In my view, it's attempting to take NEMA role by defining working times. I think someone will go to court on the same. Okay? It has attempted to address sustainability, but if you read Section 161, it gives a may. You don't tell Kenyans you may do something. You tell Kenyans you shall. So if you read that clause the way it's coming out, it's a may clause. May clause for us is optional. We will not do it. Okay? It has introduced under Section 425 that a building that is 18 meters and above must have a fire lift. Come on, people don't even have a lift in the first place. Okay? So you want to have passenger lift and fire lift. With these 8 plots that we have around Nairobi, it's not working. Okay? So Section 329, it is completely taking away the role of the landscape architect and giving it to an architect. So there are certain segments, and for me they're very fundamental, that we need to address before February, before it comes into effect.
Okay.
So that we have a code that is unifying, it's orderly. Because if you don't address like Section 6, I think in February, people are going to be jobless. In my view, and we have hundreds of students in universities right now doing interior design, landscape architects, construction management. What's going to happen to them?
Yeah.
So we need a code that is reflecting the built environment and is unifying. But as well, let me mention that it has some brilliant ideas. Like I think it's bringing the issue of electric charging. It's required that 5% of your parking spaces from February needs to have EV charging points for electric vehicles. I think those are progressive ideas. So we have issues with certain sections. We don't want those issues to left unattended because we may go another 40 years without amending it. That is the problem we have with the National Building Code. Otherwise, it's a step in the right direction. We were overly due for a new building code in the industry.
So what you're calling for right now is a bit of amendments on some sections on the code.
Yes, that is all we are. We want certain segments that be amended, not for anything else, just reflect.
Okay.
I'm a project manager, I'm practicing. So if you remove me, I've practiced for 13 years, and in February you're saying I should not practice, what will happen to people I have? What's happening to people that are in the industry? Why don't we just have because there's no fight in the industry. We are practicing. So have everyone on board, build the industry and the country together. That's what we're saying.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And my last question could be a bit controversial. And my question is on whether we have enough professional personnel in the construction industry. Why I ask this is because many a times the contractors we see on our roads are not Kenyan. So do we have enough professionals to take care of the constructions we need to do in Kenya?
Vivian, as I answer you, let me refer you to the NCA Act. NCA Act says NCA1 contractors. That is the act that we have. NCA1 contractors can do infinite value of projects. That is what the law says. Right now, do we have NCA1 contractors under NCA1? Yes. So people always say, oh no, we don't have capacity. But we have a law that says NCA1 contractors can do infinite value of projects. And we have NCA1 contractors locally. Look, in my view, the issues why local content is missing a lot in our construction sector, first of all, it's the issue of concessional loans, because we've always tied, and it didn't start with this administration. It's been, I think, since Kibaki. We always tie concessional loans to a contractor. That's why you've seen tenders advertised from South Korea looking for a South Korean contractor in Kenya. Because when you borrow, like you borrowed to do the junction roundabout, Gong roundabout junction mall area, they want a South Korean contractor because money is coming from South Korea. The Japanese did that part from library all the way to Prestige, Japanese contractor. So we are tying concessional loans to contractor, and I think it's something we need to deal with this as a government, okay? So that as we negotiate the loan, why don't we have local content in it, deliberately? I don't think 30% is enough. I know my friend Engineer Sharma from IEK said 30%. I don't think it's enough. We won't develop this country to second world and levels we need to go with a 30% local content on our mega projects. Give me the job, give me a condition to find a foreign contractor to partner with. Let me get the 70, let the guy get the 30. So we need to amend these things. That is why a lot of our local contractors are missing. Do we have capacity? We have some of the most brilliant engineers in this country. In this region, probably. Brilliant architects, good contractors doing roads all over this region. But when it comes to our own, we have this penchant for foreigners. And somehow, I think they have an advantage because they come with that foreign tag, and it looks like Calvary. It's like a blessings. But we have capacity. Local capacity of our local contractors is a lot. We are suffering from government policies on negotiations. A lot of it's on concessional loans tying with the foreign contractor. That is what we are fighting with. Nairobi Expressway funded foreign contractor because the loan, where the loan comes, the contractor comes. I served in the South African CMF board. Okay? If you look at the concession trend report by Deloitte, if you look at the South African built environment, a lot of the mega projects are done by local contractors because it's a government policy. So if we have a policy today that says 70% goes to local, the locals, if they don't have capacity, they will partner with some foreign contractor from whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I hear you on that, and I get that we need to have that policy whereby our contractors get the bigger chunk.
We do.
All right. Now I'll allow you to give us your parting shots on this conversation.
Thank you very much. I think right now we are not sitting well in the business environment. We have a cost that is risen over the last 1 year or so. If you look at the CBK report and all that, built environment is not doing well. I was taught in class, if you want to tell that the economy is doing well, look at the consumption of cement. I think the first quarter, second quarter of this year, cement consumption is down. We need to have a robust discussion as a country and probably as an industry on cost of construction. It is ballooning too much. Number two, I think we need to sit down with government so that we need some jump-starting in the built environment. We are stuck right now. And one of the best ways to jumpstart the built environment is spending bills. If you get 20 billion, 30 billion released into the built environment, I think it will help us. So my plea will be to government, we need some jumpstarting. We are stalled. And then to my colleagues in the industry, we must have a discussion on the cost of construction. It's not sustainable. It's going to kill the sector.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
All right, that was Nashon Okowa, who is the Managing Director, Beacon Africa Consultants. Don't you go too far, because Good Morning Kenya gets to continue. And when I come back, I'll be talking about matters health. You definitely want to stay tuned for that.